sprout around so that we can honor these amazing artists of the community.
And Danny too.
And Danny too.
Look at the respect.
I know that everybody at one point or another has heard in news and in other places about how important community is for health and how people live longer. It isn't just the diet, it isn't just the exercise. Mostly it comes down to community, strong family ties and community. And one of the big reasons why I started this gallery and why we've done as a collective beautiful things in community is because of that amazing magical feeling that community brings and how it can bring an entire town, change the landscape, the vibe in the direction that is so beautiful and positive. Here I am in this gallery, new, only been here a year, and I really wanted to pay respect to the people who have built community around the arts for a long time before I ever was here. And I want to give them the respect and the honor that they deserve today. And so one of the artists that loves to talk about community and has done such a huge hand in building the community in Encinitas is Danny Salzhandler. We have Bob Hord, and here's Donna Butnik. Where's Julianne?
She's never around.
Julianne Stick. That's her work on that wall over there. Danny's work is the beautiful sculptures, and he's done huge. I know you've probably seen some of his sculptures. For some of us who haven't been in the area quite as long or didn't know who they were, and I was one of those people who had seen these beautiful large sculptures in corporate buildings. I didn't know whose they were. They happen to be his. Tell us though, Danny, like, how did it all start? Like, how did the community of the 101 Artists Colony begin, and why?
Well, I wasn't around when it started. I came around about a year and a half later, but it literally started as a lark. Lark being something that wasn't really supposed to happen, but it did, and it was very successful. There was a lot of vacancies at the lumberyard, and two artists and an architect, Maria Festa, James Durfee, and Nancy Flager, they approached the Enem 101 Main Street and said, is there any way you can get us into some free rent? Which they did. Filled up a vacancy. I came on about a year later. They gave me the checkbook. They said, give me the checkbook, and they said, you can be treasurer. What's your name again? And so I took the checkbook and didn't do much in the way of art in there, but it turned out to be quite something. We did shows every month. When the vacancies all played out, Peter Norby said, look, I'm gonna rent 25 East G. Will you run it? Meaning the Artists Colony Board. And they paid a first and last. We put out information that we're looking for artists to give, we wanted the portfolios to rent out studios. We spent 2 months building it out. Bob Hord there helped build, Donna helped build. Donna also helped tear it down after 3 years when they told us we had to move out. You tear it all out like it was, and we had fun doing it. And we got artists to fill the spaces. We paid the first and last back to the Main Street Association, and we were off and running with a 3-year incredible 3-year party is what it was. We had a coffee bar, we had a stage, we had a student gallery, we had it all, and it was run by artists. We had no tax money involved. We applied for a C3. Of course, we got a C4, which means you can't give a tax deduction. So we didn't rely on donation. We relied on artists paying for their studio space and commissions. And it worked really well. When we knew that 3-year lease was up, the old No Foofy Gallery, the pink buildings across from Rhino Art, we moved right in there and had another 3 years. So we put about 30 years into 9 years.
Exactly. And then tell us more about the art that you have done for the city. I mean, for the citizens of the city. Tell us about that.
I guess the first thing I ever did for the city was when they built the new library, the incredible new library. And they had someone was gonna build an art door, but they had to put the regular door in there to get the CO to use the building. So when it came around to tearing the door out, they said, can you tear out this big heavy duty door, which is now a bench in my shop. So it all worked out real good. So we've been involved with the city. If the city asked us to do something, we did it. The city asked me to make a sculpture for the sister city in Omakase, Japan. So I welded up something that I don't think I could ever duplicate it. And now it's sitting in the library in Omakase, Japan. So one of these days I'm gonna go to Japan and see it. And
The starfish.
oh, I made those starfish up and down the Coast Highway along the way. The city Ardima asked me to make those, and so I did. It was a financial pleasure, and I love seeing them up here.
Yeah. And tell us about the banners as well.
Right after we got into the Artists Colony in the lumberyard, Peter Norby came across. Everybody knows who Peter Norby was. He was the director of the Main Street Association. He was a mover and a shaker both. And he came over and said, you don't want to paint these banners? I saw this, it'd be great. We can call it Arts Alive. And we painted these banners, and I even painted one. I struggled through a banner. And then he said, we're going to hang them up at midnight next Saturday. So everybody come out. So I was kind of new to the art scene. This kind of all different to me. I thought, well, this is going to be something. I better go out there. So I go out there. It's a little bit of a rain. Get to Leucadia. Peter Norby's on this great big, huge forklift that goes 2 miles an hour. He had to have a chase car behind him because it had no light. And there was nobody else there but him and his girlfriend on the chase car. So I got to know Peter real well. And that was kind of a lark also. It just kept going and it just kept going, and it became a very favorite event. And last year was my last year. I've turned it over to someone else who's going to get to have all the fun now. They won't let me use the bucket truck anymore. So I said, forget about it.
Well, tell us about the wildest party that you guys threw and all the fun things. Because when I met Danny, we were having a wild party here. And he was like, what? What's happening? Like, somebody's doing wild parties and art? Like,
I was almost going to turn him into the cops. It was so fun. I guess the wildest thing we ever did, it was in our waning days when we were just about to lose the lease at the Pink Buildings. They tore those down. Poor old Billy had a studio in the back, and the wrecking ball was coming out this way, and he was running out the other way. Billy loved that place. And one of the last days we were there, the last day we were really there, a band called, I think they were called Tan Sister Radio. They all were about that tall. They had blue jean jackets with the British flag on the back, and they were playing. And I said, look, if you remember the building on the corner was the Builders Trading Company. They sold doors and windows. Had a 2-story with a balcony. They said, never go up to the balcony. I said, let's go up to the balcony. They got up there and they turned the guitars up to 11. And they played, and people started wondering what's up. People started complaining until we told you it's our last day here, and they stayed and partied. And then later that day, it turned into artists just showed up. They were doing silkscreen t-shirts. They were doing this. They were doing things in the back. I had to turn around and leave because I couldn't see what they were doing. And that was about our wildest, craziest night. We had a great stage. We had music all the time. We had a good old time.
what year was it?
That would have been, well, we got we moved out of the lumberyard in 2000. And we were in the new building, and my brother called me up. We got it all going. We laced out the studios. And my brother called me and he said, turn on the television.
Oh my.
And it was 9/11.
Oh.
And I ran down to the Artists Colony as quick as I could. And people needed a place like that. It wasn't the library. It wasn't City Hall. It was the 101 Artists Colony.
Yeah.
And it filled a purpose. And it was a very needed purpose.
Yeah.
And we got banners. We put stuff there where people do art with expressing their feelings. And that made me think that this really is something that is important to the community.
It is. It is really important. And that's something that has come across as a thread in all of these artist interviews. I don't know what's going to happen when I stand up here and I start asking questions to the artists. And the point that keeps coming up every single artist interview is how important it is for feeling all of the feelings, overcoming hard events in our lives, challenges, all of those things. That's what art is for. You know, it isn't necessarily a commodity. In the moment when we're making it and all of that, it is to transcend in a different fashion, to receive downloads from the universe, to evoke emotions. I mean, all of these things is what art is. And that's why it's so important to keep artistry, and keep going generation after generation. Who has some questions for Danny?
So you got the Poet Slam coming up.
The Poetry Slam is October 7th. It's free admission and free to enter. We put everybody's name in the popcorn bucket and we pull the first 12 out and they're the lineup for the night. So it's very fun. And we have a ukulele player who is also the 5th ranked skateboarder at the Olympics. He's going to be, Bryce is going to be playing ukulele to open it up for us. You know, we started the Poetry Slam and I did not get into the poetry. If there was poetry, I would always bring a pillow. And our poet decided he was off and running and he left and he had already booked a Poetry Slam. And I didn't know nothing about no Poetry Slams, but we're going to do it. And we went there and I read the book about Poetry Slams and I followed the rules. Our first winner, I can't remember the mayor at the time. Who was the mayor back then? Not Maggie, before Maggie. Before Maggie, who was before Maggie? Sheila Cameron. Sheila Cameron won about a poem about her flower garden. The Poetry Slam's a little different now. It's a lot different. And as an old boy from Texas, sometimes I gotta sort of, you know, okay. I always tell poets, especially the younger poets, because we started this and it just kept going. We started doing them twice a year, once a year. Bob Nanninger was my partner in the Poetry Slam. I didn't know Bob and I got introduced to Bob and holy smoke. He was our Robin Williams.
Wow.
He would be going about 10 minutes over. I would be laughing and mad at him, both at the same time. It's a mixed emotion thing. But so I tell the younger poets, write your poetry on rice paper. That way when you grow up, it'll be much easier for you to eat your words. And they don't write that now.
If you have any questions about the Poetry Slam, come to us afterwards. We'll give you the details because it's important to not just support, but also to enjoy all of this together.
I got free tickets to a free event.
Yes.
Thanks, Miss Lady.
Well, let's keep enjoying. There's going to be more music. There's delicious tacos and the whole thing. So keep enjoying and communing.
All right.